Hello, here's a video of me building a garden gate or a side gate or whatever you want to call it. As you can see, we start by building the main frame. Now these two lengths are slightly taller than what the door is going to be at the end, and it's going to be joined at 3 points: the top, the middle, and the bottom. Now I did use quite big timber for this. This is 2x4 or something around 4.5 centimeters by 9.5 centimeters, which it doesn't need to be that big or heavy. But the space that I had for the doors is much bigger than your average space. So I wanted to make sure that the doors are nice and sturdy. So now I'm setting my miter to cut halfway down the timber. So we're adding these grooves which will allow us to break them off quite easily later on, and this will allow us to join the two lengths together. This will be done at the top, the middle, and the bottom on both lengths of timber. Now the same thing is going to be done with bits that go between the two lengths, because obviously they're going to counter sit on top of the other timber. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not just using the saw that's next to me. That's because I've already set it to cut only halfway through, and trying to reset it is a bit of a pain and takes quite a bit of time, so I'll just use the handsaw for that. So same process again, just cutting halfway down. The width of this space is the same as the thickness of the length of the timber itself, which, as I mentioned earlier, is around 9.5 centimeters or 4 inches. Here's the most satisfying part about this whole process. Once all those extra bits are broken off, we use a chisel, a nice sharp and wide chisel, to just get rid of all the unevenness. You can use the miter saw itself to clean it off, but this I just find a lot more comfortable, and I feel like I have a lot more control over it using a chisel. So we do the same thing on all the lengths, And then once that's all clean and they're sitting nicely, it's time to join them up. So once all the pieces are ready, we'll just line them up and just gauge to see if they are sitting in properly. I didn't whack them in, I just wanted to line them up and just get a feel to see if they are going to sit properly. If they don't, which they didn't at first, I took them away, just used the saw and the chisel a little bit more to make sure that it's all sitting in fine. Then applied glue. This is the most important part, rechecking after putting the frame together to make sure that you've got your 90-degree angles and that it's still measuring exactly the same at both points. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a warped door that's not going to shut or sit properly on the frame. So then pilot hole in it, and then we screw them in. And then once that's done, then we will cut the extra bits that are hanging off. Okay, now it's time for adding a bit more support and making sure that the door holds its shape over time when it goes through different weather conditions. So yeah, as you can see, I've just cut roughly the right length of timber, put it on. The easiest way to get those corners in nice and accurate is just putting it there, marking it. Once you got your mark, cut off your extra bits, and then you're good to go. Just make sure you remember which piece is which. Okay, now I made sure that I cut them quite tight, so I had to then put them in using a bit of force, and then I knew it was going to stay there because I didn't necessarily want to screw across or sideways into the timber, into the frame, because it was just going to look horrible. So I just put it in. Once it's sitting in firmly, applied a bit of glue, and then it was time to put the panels on top. Now there are a couple of different things you can do. I've seen some people use just feather edge board like you use for fencing. I found these tongue and groove boards which look quite nicer. They're quite smooth. They lock into each other as well, which I thought it just makes it more sturdy. Got those instead. They're nice and wide as well, so it covers the door quicker. And then I just set about cutting them to length, putting them on, pilot hole, and then hammer them in. One thing I did do was I made sure that I mark where I'm going to put my nails in, because I put 2 nails at each point on the panel, and I really hate messy lines, so I just wanted to make sure that there is a nice uniform pattern which the nails follow. Now, one of the downsides of using such big and heavy timber, and obviously having such a wide area to cover, means that your door is going to be extremely heavy. I weighed this door and it was roughly around 35 kgs, I believe, which, you know, it's not light. This is treated timber as well, so it's wet, which obviously adds to the weight. Now, I did eventually hang the door, but I didn't put that in the video because it was going to be my first time doing it, and I knew it was going to be a long process, and I was going to have a lot of issues that I was going to encounter, so I didn't really bother videoing it because frankly I didn't know what I was doing. But what I did was I bought a 4x4 post. I bolted that into the wall to make sure that I've got a nice solid area that the door is going to be hanging off of. Then I bought garden gate hinges, and I put 3 nice 60cm hinges that were going to cover almost half of the door. And frankly, I didn't think it would need any more support than that. Now again, because the wood is wet, which means there is going to be imperfections in there. It's going to warp. There is going to be slight bends every now and then, and this door is almost 2 meters tall. So, you know, there is always going to be some warps and here and there that you need to deal with. So I put the wood in, then I make sure I put it into place, because this is tongue and groove, so it locks into itself. And here is the final product. As you can see, it didn't turn out too bad. One of the good things about using such big timber is that it gives you a lot of room to adjust the door. Even though I have made them to measure, it gives me the chance to trim from the sides and top and bottom if I need to. But yeah, didn't turn out too bad at the end. And here's a before and after. Anyways, thanks for watching.